Pat, I'm going to chalk this loss last night for the Timberwolves up to bad timing and scheduling, and that Zion Williamson had to hear 5 days worth of national banter about how out of shape he is. How Stephen
Yes.
A. Smith went on his first take, his show yesterday, and said something along the lines of like, or maybe this was a couple days ago,
Yeah.
like late last week, that he's talked to some of the chefs in New Orleans, and they love when Zion comes in because he'll eat the table at their restaurant.
Yeah, I apparently, and I was not an in-season tournament aficionado, so I didn't watch it. But apparently, he stunk it out against the Lakers. Right?
Yeah, he was not good.
He got great abuse for the way he performed against the Lakers, and I don't know. He doesn't look a hell of a lot different physically to me. He doesn't look heavier or anything. He's always been hefty and muscular. But yes, he was fired up to bull his way to the basket yesterday, and there's nothing the Wolves could do about it. And Coach Finch, who doesn't rip the officials too often, made reference to he said the story of the game was them shooting 40 free throws. So that was his indication. But I watched quite a hunk of it, and New Orleans was just better all night long. So they took care of Cat. They never let Cat get loose at all. They double teamed him all night, and there's nothing these guys. And then Gobert was in foul trouble. So it was, they got out muscled, and with Gobert and Cat, you don't get out muscled that often, but they got out muscled last night. So New Orleans, pretty good team. They got they got a couple three pretty good players, and Zion, when he plays those 30% of the games, he's pretty good. But he'll be. We were just talking, and I said, out of the next 25, he'll play 6. Don't worry, something will happen.
Yeah, I feel like the Wolves usually get the good fortune of him sitting out like a back to
Yes.
back or a low. It's like I feel like they rarely get the Zion Williamson version of the Pelicans.
I
But
wonder
yeah,
what is his original contract must be expiring here pretty soon, right? It's going to be interesting to see with his track record for not playing how wealthy he gets when he hits the free agent market. But
he's going to get a max. But
yeah, he
yeah,
probably will get a max. But anyway, hey, the schedule's getting tough now. The boys are if they get through the next 16, 500, a little over, they'll be happy. I would think they're gonna, they got a lot to prove here, and they obviously need Edwards. They're without Edwards out there, they just don't look too good offensively, do they? I mean, they just, all of a sudden, you need Walker, Alexander, and those guys to score. Alexander, Walker, and those guys to score some points. And when Anthony's playing, you don't really need him that much. So
yeah, you
anyway.
really only have two like all around offensive weapons in Anthony Edwards and Karl Anthony Towns. And like you said, so Anthony's out last night. And they say we're gonna double Karl Anthony Towns on every touch, and he's been in the league for almost a decade, 8 years, and he still looks so confused when he gets double teamed more often than he should, right? Remember KG back in the day would welcome the double team very calmly, would hold the ball over his head and throw a dart pass to somebody, and Cat still it's like, dude, take a deep breath when you get doubled once in a while.
Yeah, I think that the whole thing last night of people, foul trouble and Gobert not being there, and I don't know. He's not a calm individual some evenings, but I would not blame that whole loss on him. It was just
No.
they just got out muscled. There's what the heck? It's you kind of saw it coming from a distance, didn't you? I mean, I when I turned on that game, I hadn't looked to see what the score was. When I turned on that game in the second quarter, I fully expected them to be about 8 behind, and it was what it was. So
Yeah.
got McDaniel's back though. That's good, and now it'd be nice if he could play for some time. They really played McLaughlin a lot too last night. Was that Connolly was. I don't know. They probably said, yeah, this is a night not to play him 30 minutes. So.
Yeah, also you just need to find, and McLaughlin only played 8 minutes, but you got to find a guy that can come in there and kind of run the offense. Shake Milton's been better the last couple games. He's finally finding some offense, but You got to
better
find
than rotten. Okay, he's been better than rotten. So that's okay. I guess he's. He was. They did have that one little run. I was watching that one little run, and Shake was involved in that. But
second half,
I don't know. Anyway, it's they don't get to be home much anymore though. The next month, right?
They only have like 3 home games the rest of the month, and then we were going over this yesterday. They've got a weird schedule in like February, March, and that they play exclusively. It's like 8 straight home games over 2.5 weeks, end of February, March. But then they have another stretch because the Target Center is being used, right? For is it Target Center being used for the Big Ten tournament? Or
Big Ten.
Okay. Yeah. And so then they're away for like another 2 weeks. So it is a weird schedule for them. But make it happen, Wolves. No, don't complain about the schedule. No schedule.
Well, I heard the New Orleans guys last night talking about how they're home 5 out of the 6, and then they have 9 straight road games. Whatever, something's coming to the arena. We used to have the used to have the circus at the Met Center. So the one year, the first year, right, Jed, the first year of the Stanley Cup playoffs, it wasn't, you weren't a fan then when they started, but they had to play one of the games with St. Louis. So they were playing St. Louis in the Western Conference Finals, and they had to play 5 games in St. Louis and 2 here because they had the circus.
Yes.
They had the circus.
They got booted.
Center. Yeah.
Wait, so they couldn't tell the Ringling Brothers, hey, we'll reschedule you at a different time?
We got to get the elephants out of here. No, they had to play an extra game in St. Louis, and it went 7. The
Blackhawks and Bulls would get booted from the stadium for like 3 weeks by a circus every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Is that because the circus packs the house? Do they make more money off the circus than they do off?
Because Bill Wirtz was
it used to pack the house, and then we ended up with more than 3 channels on television, and we said, I'm not going to the circus anymore.
It smells bad. The circus doesn't smell good.
Terrible. I remember going into Met Center when the circus had been there. You could smell the elephants' excrement for months. It was terrible.
Well, yeah, it's elephants. I mean, that's a lot of
elephants. What do you expect?
A lot of fertilizer, Pat.
Are we? I'm looking up. Was it Ringling Brothers or Barnum and Bailey? Are they together?
Oh,
I thought they were competing for a while, weren't they?
The circus in general is dead. It's not. You don't have this.
No,
the
you can
circus
still.
anymore.
No, I'm on their website. It's ringling.com. You can still buy tickets. Yeah, they're going to be. Here we go. December. We could road trip this weekend, you guys. They're in Oklahoma City at the Paycom Center for 3 days.
All right.
How about New York? It used to be a big deal at Madison Square Garden too. The circus was in town.
Oh, they're at the Barclays Center, February 22nd through the 25th. Belmont Park, New York, in early March.
Yeah, 3-4 days. But back in the day, it was like 2 weeks. They were here 2 weeks.
It was harder to transport elephants back in the 1960s. I feel like.
I don't know how do you there's the circus. It's just not as popular as it used to be. That's
a lot. Let's just say a lot of dates down south in Florida. A lot of Florida dates. A lot of North Carolina, South Carolina. SEC country likes their circus.
I think you can get away with abusing the animals a little more down there. Up here we get a little. To keep the elephants going on a rampage, we might whip them a little more down south than we do here. So
we're a little more passive aggressive.
I don't know how that. We try to talk them into being nice down there. Up here instead of abusing them, I would guess. I don't know how that works. So
I think maybe we could get Reusse Unchained to be the official presenter of when I'm looking through all the dates here. It does not look like there's anything near Minnesota. Well, there's okay. It looks like Grand Rapids, Michigan for some date in the future is the closest we can get.
Yeah, the circus is out of luck. So, man, gentlemen, there's a lot of bad football, isn't there? NFL football. God, those games last night, but they were both close, so everybody loves them. They were both terrible. They were such horrible quarterback play, and just I was kind of clicking back and forth. What happened to Tua? Did anybody watch the end of that game? Was that the worst drive in the history of mankind? They got 2 minutes left. Do something. Why do you throw 4-yard passes?
Yeah.
God almighty. You're down on the 25. You throw the 15-yarder over the middle and run up to the ball. He was throwing like 3-4-yard passes. What a moron. And it was, God, they were bad. And they let, the kid from Tennessee was winging the ball all over the place. And the two is going, oh, there's a guy open 4 yards over the line of scrimmage. And I got to know another 50 yards to kick a field goal. That was terrible. And the other game was awful. The Packers.
How about those Giants, Pat? Tommy DeVito. Tommy DeVito looked great.
Yes. Jordan Love returned to form, too. He was rotten. And, they were first loss ever for our guy Matt in December, huh? LaFleur.
Yeah, it is. It's the first. What is he like? Is he like 15-1 or something now?
Yeah, but
that's right.
They look like the Packers last night. They look bad. They were.
That is still. I don't care how
bad.
they look last night, though. That is definitely still a team that could beat the Vikings. Now that we've seen the Vikings lose to the Bears.
Oh yeah.
Anything is possible and now that we've seen they scored 3 points in 3 hours against the Raiders, I wouldn't take the Packers lightly.
I agree with you. It's they're. I said it yesterday. I guess the NFC North, they're all the same now. Now that the Bears are playing good, you got 4 teams that are all the same. They're they're extremely flawed. Except you got probably the best defense here. Right, so maybe that'll help.
Yeah, which is remarkable.
Yeah, but that was bad football last night. But it's close, so that's all that counts. It's close.
You know what, though, Pat? That's why you now put 2 games on at once. The more that you put multiple games on, because if it had been one game, if it had been one of those 2 games, and that's it, we'd be like, oh, what a bunch of crap that was. But now we're like, look at those 2 great finishes.
Yeah, 2 great finishes. It's it was. I didn't get into it until the second half, but I was clicking back and forth like everybody else and hoping to see better football. But it was all the same. I mean, it was not good. But
the real highlight was Kirk Cousins on the Manning cast breaking it down in the fourth quarter. He was funny. He was insightful. And I don't know if it was strategic, but he definitely is setting himself up. Age 36 coming up here, Achilles. He's setting himself up to make about $20 million a year with CBS, Fox, or whatever other network. Maybe Amazon. Throw him in the Amazon booth at some point.
Well, that's good. Does he no more repeated speeches he didn't repeat his lingo from his conversation with the anti-gay church that he did a couple of weeks ago. Then
Kirk is eminently likable in situations like that. But here's the thing that I love, and Romo had this initially. I love guys who are just playing or are playing because they'll always relate things that are relevant. Like that's like the farther you get from playing, the more you sort of lean back on what you recall in the good old days. Kirk's like talking about they got to give the ball to this guy, and sure as hell they do. Like it was really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, he'll never convince me. So
I'm in on Kirk as a broadcaster, but Pat is out. Are you in on Nick Mullins now as the quarterback to bring the Vikings to the playoffs here, or would you?
Well, I think you guys.
Joe Flacco's available, by the way. He's back on the practice squad.
I don't think he is available. I don't think they'll let him go. They're going to make the playoffs with him.
Well, no, but he could. So Andrew Filipponi, who's a talk radio guy in Pittsburgh, he pointed out that the Vikings have like $10 million in cap space. The Vikings could essentially say, hey, Joe, take the rest of take like $8 million from now until the end of the year. We'll just pay way more than the Browns can pay you.
Yeah, but he can't just leave, can he? He's signed. I mean, he can't.
He's on the practice squad.
Yeah, when they move him back to the practice squad, which they can do for like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, he can just leave. But
are they going to move him back to the practice?
They did. He's back. They did. Yes,
he's back on it.
Who got healthy then? I can't remember.
Well, no, they can elevate him back off of the practice squad up and down for 3 weeks. But I don't know why it's a procedural move. I'm assuming to just like open up a practice spot on their active roster.
Must be salary cap stuff or something, right?
So they're trying to be tricky. Why don't you sneak in and say, hey, no more tricks. Here's a briefcase of cash.
I had no idea what you were talking about. I didn't know how they would. Hell yes, let's go get Joe. Joe forgot how rotten he was the last 6 years or something. He's playing great. So it's amazing. But Cleveland, that would be great if they outsmarted themselves. If somebody came in and grabbed him, said, okay, we'll give you a real deal, and we're gonna sign him for next year. Give him $8 million for next year to be on as a backup to whoever ends up being your quarterback. So.
Yeah, I think it'd be a less contentious bridge quarterback situation with Joe Flacco than it could be with Kirk Cousins.
Say one last thing here: is baseball really going to let the Dodgers get away with? They can't let them get away with this.
It's in the collective bargaining agreement.
Passan said there's nothing that they can do about it.
I hate these.
There's literally Passan put a screenshot out of the CBA, and it says you can do these deals as much as you want. These deferred payments.
What you can do is have the commissioner say no. You can have the commissioner say this is not the
spirit.
What we agreed to, something like this, and they are going to pay a huge luxury tax. They cannot let them get away with this. Else it's who's going to sign? Nobody's going to pay the luxury tax anymore, right?
Well, no, because most players won't do this. See, he is doing it because his business deals financially are so huge that he'll take the smaller salary. But I read this last night. The majority of players would never agree to this because you aren't getting your cash up front. So
you can say that, but you can also, you don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. You don't know what cheating they're doing. Manfred can't just sit there on his hands and let the Dodgers get away with this. I don't know what he can do, but hey, doesn't he have commissioner powers for the good of the game or some damn thing like that? Doesn't he have some powers?
I don't know. I don't think.
But is he really going to squash the Dodgers here? He works for the Dodgers.
Yes, you can't let him get the one thing they allegedly have for competitive balance is the luxury tax. Right. You can't just let some team sign a $700 million contract and not pay luxury tax.
Here's a dumb question. Aren't they going to pay luxury tax on the back end of the rest of the contract?
Well,
do you not pay luxury tax on different? Yeah, well, we'll still need it in 10 years.
Major League Baseball might not exist in 10 years.
The smartest part, Pat, is this. The smartest part on Ohtani's part, he will, when he's done playing, he will move out of California and will not have to pay state income taxes on that salary.
Mm-hmm.
That's the genius.
They got to do something. They got to tell them that you got to void the contract. Like they did with Charlie Finley when he tried to trade his whole team.
We need Bowie Kuhn back.
Yeah, wait a second, though. Bowie Kuhn, you need somebody back. You got to void the contract. You got to say no. This is not.
Bobby Bonilla is still getting his annual June payment.
That's $1 million. That's not quite like this. It's $1 million. If they let him get away with this, it's hopeless. Baseball's hopeless if they let him get away with this. I mean,
I'm less offended by it. I think the Twins should have been creative when they were going after. You could have had Dylan Bundy for much cheaper for that 1 year if he would have deferred the payments.
100,000.
That's true. Well, we can all hope. We can all hope that he never pitches again and that he ends up being a strikeout machine and bats about 230. And by the way, the Twins will benefit from Ohtani coming here next year. Pack him in a couple of weekdays in April, right? They're in here in the middle of the week in April. we'll have at least 9,000 for those games in the middle of April. And I think they're weekdays, right? I think they're weekdays.
Yeah. Well, that's a good way to get some fans in on a Tuesday in April, I guess, is to put Shohei Ohtani in there.
Oh, my God.
11,000.
But he's not going to be ready to hit by then, right? There's no, I mean, he's probably going to be recovering as a hitter, too, I would think.
Maybe he won't even play. Not that it will make any difference. What are the dates? Look it up real quick.
It's a Monday through Wednesday series,
Monday
April 8th through the 10th.
Bleeping April, which, by the way, they're rewarding the Twins with more home games in April than any other month next year.
That is correct.
They're going to draw 1.4
And you think they're going to screw the
million.
Dodgers? You think they're going to screw the Dodgers? They're too busy screwing the Twins.
That's right. That's right. Unbelievable. I can't believe it. If Manfred's got to do something, you got to do something and fight the union, fight the, because the other owners will be on his side, right? They could get a 29-1 vote to not make this.
Yeah. I mean, there needs to be. I love this because I think if there's outrage, from media, from other owners, luxury tax evasion, like Declan said, then maybe it starts an actual conversation about, okay, can we get some structure in here for baseball contracts? Is there something we can do to make this less of a wild, wild west? Do whatever you want.
I think it will. I don't know when the next time they can open up the contract is, but mark that season down as your on your schedule as being lost to the lockout. That season they're not going to be back. Scott Morris and the boys are going to be. It's going to be a bloodbath, and when you come out of it, you're going to have some kind of a salary cap, or you're not going to have baseball. But whenever they can.
December 1st, 2026 is when it expires.
September 1st?
December 1st. Winter.
December 1st,
winter of 2026.
We'll
have a long lockout starting.
2026 season will not be played, I predict.
Write it down.
Write it down.
Do it.
All right. Write that down. That's a bases loaded double, isn't it?
That's a home run.
That's a home run. Right. It's a home run.
Last season?
Yeah.
Home run.
Shot now.
Yeah.
Write that down. All right.
All right, Pat. We'll catch up again later this week, sir.
Okay. Goodbye.
There he is. Reusse Unchained, presented by Summit Orthopedics today. If you're dealing with any type of pain with your ankles, feet, you name it, knees, back, you're on the injured list, you're one of the many players in purple on the injured list, no referrals are needed, and Summit Orthopedics offers same-day appointments. If you're really hurting, they also offer walk-in orthopedic urgent care 7 days a week, starting at 8 a.m., 25 locations across the Twin Cities and greater Minnesota. You can learn more at summitortho.com, summitortho.com.